Well, hello again everybody. Jake here with you for another edition of Demko Modelworks. This will be part 4 of our masking part of our series here from MaskDesign. Now, what you see here in front of me is I've already done one pylon. This is the portside pylon that we're going to do. Now, I'm not going to go through all of it. Now, I will take you through the outside pylon and show you how everything goes, but it's pretty. I'm not going to do the inside except for that center strip there, that color, that gray or green area or blue area, because pretty much you do the same thing on the inside as you do the outside. So we're going to be doing, I'll show you how to take care of that. And we have our replacement masks here for whenever you get ready. You pull your one mask off and then you replace, you do your color, then you replace it with this gray mask. That way you can keep track of what you're doing and you don't have to replace the masks back on this. So we have our inboard masks for the inside of the pylon, and we have our outboard. Now before we get into this, I'm going to show you, we're going to be using the colors of the pylons are going to be gold, blue, and then green. So those are the colors we're going to be using there. And then for the leading edges, or not the leading edges, sorry, the blowout panels, we're going to be using the Model Masters enamel blue for the blowout panels on the inside and the outside. And then I use these. These are craft acrylic paints from Hobby Lobby. These are the Anita's all-purpose acrylic. These are made by Rust-Oleum, so I know they're a good brand. And this is the Morning Blue number. If you want to take note of this, this is the number 11064, Morning Blue. And if you notice, this is the lighter blue, and this is for the that goes around the base of the bridge, the leading edges of the pylons, and a couple other areas around the ship. So what I've done is, this is just a little bit too bright of a blue. It's too much of a baby blue. So what I did is I went back through and put in a couple of drops of black just to darken it up a little bit, and we came up with this color. I don't know if you can see it real good or not in the camera, but we came up with this color, and I'll show you here in just a minute what it looks like on the ship. And then the grays that I used for the inside, that center of the pylon on the inside, I used the Model Masters acrylic dark gray for the darkest color, and then I used the neutral gray for the medium color, and then the light gray for the lightest gray on there. Now these are the colors on there are supposed to be just slightly different, so you'll see there that they have just a slightly different hue to them. So, but you can lighten them up or darken them up as you see fit on this. But those are the ones that I use, and these are the Model Master acrylics. So now what I'll do is I'll show you what I've done. Is on this side, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it good enough, but let me zoom in and see if we can't get into the light. Let me tilt the camera up just a little bit to get a good shot. But you can see here we have that Model Master blue. Now some people will put the light baby blue on here. In here I just use the regular blue. It matches, several other people, several other ones that I've seen out there. And this is that Anita's light blue that I was talking about from the craft acrylic paints. And guys, let me tell you something. This stuff is really nice to work with. You can, this is only like a $1.50 a bottle on this, and it works really well. Once it's dry on there really good. It won't come off, and if you mess up on it, you can take a little bit of rubbing alcohol and you know, wipe it down, or what I do sometimes if it bleeds or something, I'll take alcohol wipe and, you know, wipe it off. Now I do this before it dries, because like I said, once it dries on there, it's there. So but you can see the blue, gold, and greens here, and they turned out, you know, really pretty in color. So we're going to do the inside. We're going to flip the inside, and these are the colors that like I said, I used for the this piece right here in the center of the pylon. Now I used the dark gray to outline, then that medium gray, or the neutral gray for here, and then the light gray for these four of the panels. So you can see how nice that turned out, and these are going to be the same colors that we're going to use for our deflector housing and right here around the strong back area. So I'm going to do that off camera, and I'm going to do this area off camera as well. So like I said, we're going to get started on the outside pylon, and I'm going to get set up for that, get all my paints mixed up, and go from there. And when we get through with this, I'll show you how to apply the inboard pylons. And I already have my transfer paper on all, transfer tape on all this. Now in the kit, he gives you two pieces of, two center stripes here. One to put down for, if you paint it first and then put these on, or you can then you can have a replacement to put back over that to cover them up while you do your Aztecing. Now what I do, you can do this either way. You can put all the masking on normally, and then sorry about that, I lost my train of thought there for a second. Normally what I do is I will go through and paint all my Aztecing first, and then I will go back through and do my my tertiary colors, the blowout panels and all that, to cover up the Aztecing. And it usually it works real well that way. But if you want to paint the center stripe first, that's fine. Then you have that extra piece to put over it while you're after you paint it, and then it's protected. Then you can do your Aztecing. But like I said, it's either way. You can paint the Aztecing, then go back through and do your detail painting, or you can do your detail painting first, then put the Aztecing on. He gives you pieces to cover up these. He doesn't give you anything to cover up these, but he does give you pieces to paint the black on the edges, on both leading and the trailing edges of the pylon, so that way it'll get nice and straight. But anyway, so I'm gonna get set up for this, and we'll be right back shortly to start working on this. So we'll be back soon. Okay guys, welcome back. Now we got set up here on the bench. Now I've got my masks aligned and put on. Now I'm going to zoom in here and show you. I'm going to zoom in to see see if I can't get you in far enough to see what I'm going to show you. If you notice on the pylon here, I did not overlay my mask with the leading edge of the pylon, because this is not going to get Aztec. It's going to get that blue. So basically what you do is you align your mask. This is a good starting point, and Gary tells you to start up here and align it with your mat, with this line here, and set it up that way. Now some don't be alarmed if it overhangs just a little bit. That's okay, it's not gonna hurt nothing. Just make sure that when you put it on, you rub it down real good to where you can see it change from a light blue to a darker blue. That way it's on there. Now if you get the instructions, now I didn't get the instructions in my set, but what I did is I went to what you can do is, if you don't have the mask instructions, you can go to the on Facebook or to MaskDesign on Trek Modeler and download the full. This is the full 1/350 scale refit mask guide, and down here it shows how to and you scroll down to I believe it's page 12. It shows you the first color, which is the gold, and then you basically just go through and align, count up, count the basically every other row is a different color. So what I did is I went through and first marked up the gold, and then I went down and did the blue is the second color. Scoot out and zoom in. Blue is the second color, so I did. Now you can see it skips a row every time it does, and then the final color is the green. So what I have done to make it easier on me, and what y'all can do to make it easier on y'all, is go through with your Sharpie marker and go through and mark which ones are what color. Now I used 1 dot for the gold, 2 dots for the blue, and 3 dots for the green. And yeah, it's going to look confusing, but once you get it put down and stuff, you can see. And once you start taking these masks off, you can start seeing the pattern. So I've gotten my gold shaken up, and what we're going to do now is go ahead and start removing the gold masking. Now this is the time-consuming part, but you'll start seeing the pattern once we get it going. So making sure that you pay attention to not gouging your paint. And I apologize for the background noise, guys. It's my air conditioner. It's 80 degrees, almost 90 degrees outside today, so I have to have my air conditioner going. Oops, grabbed the wrong one. So you can see how fast it goes just by taking that little extra step and doing this. So now you can start seeing the pattern. And some of these masks they stick together a little bit. But as you start pulling these masks off, you can start seeing the pattern of the color and everything. Now, like I said, he provides a piece of masking that goes in this section, but like I said, I'm not worried about it. I don't put the masking on there because I paint that afterwards. Some of you may wish to paint that before, then put your masking on. It's up to you. And the first time that you do this, it's going to be intimidating, guys. I will tell you that. Trying to figure out how the pattern goes, but if you follow the paint guide, it'll go a lot quicker, and you do this little extra step of marking the masks as you put them down, or before you start painting. That way you have a pattern to follow. And guys, I'll tell you, when you may not be able to see it as good in camera, but in person it's absolutely beautiful with these colors on this rainbow. And like I said, there's only blue, gold, and green. There's no red on this whatsoever. Now, if you wanted to be a little bit creative, you can do your own, or if you're not gonna follow, tradition and do your own thing, that's fine. Put whatever color you want on there. But and like I tell people all the time, these models are your own kit. Don't worry about what other people think or say. Build them and paint them however you see fit. There's no rule saying you have to paint it this certain color. And like I've said before, guys, it's never really known exactly what the color pattern is. There'll be a close representation of it. Grab it from this side. All right. Well, there's all the gold. I'm gonna go back and check, and it looks like I missed one, which will be a green. So put 3 dots there, and that's why I say, guys, take your time and do this. Double check yourself before. Okay, now I've gotten all that stuff on, so now I'm gonna shake up my gold a little bit. And again, guys, when you're doing this, you're gonna have to, if you're not doing this on a daily basis and using your iridescent paint all the time, you're gonna need to get down in there and shake it up, stir it up, because that sediment will settle. And if you don't do that, you're gonna just get a metallic color. And always make sure that you tape up the areas that are not going to be painted, or stuff that you've already done. So I'm going to do a test shot on a piece of paper just to make sure I'm getting it out. And all right, here we go. We got that out, so we're going to go ahead and start spraying. And remember, guys, to make sure that you hold your airbrush back 3 or 4 inches away. Checking your mask to see if you're getting a good amount. I might turn up my airbrush pressure just a little bit. That way we can make sure we're getting a good amount on there. Just a little more. Alright, that looks good to me. So what I'm going to do is use my hairdryer. Now, Gary suggested that if you're new to use a hairdryer, just a simple hairdryer on low heat, that way you're not hurting the model or the plastic or anything, simply for the fact that those heat guns put out more heat and less air. Hair dryers put out more volume of air and less, they're still hot, but they put out more volume and less heat. So, whoops, wrong way. So we're gonna just kind of give this a quick dry. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is let that dry, set up a little bit more. I'm going to clean out my airbrush and come right back, guys, and get set up for the next color. We'll be right back, guys. Stay tuned. Okay, so now we're back. Now I've gotten my replacement mask back on for the gold. Now we're getting ready to do the blue. So now we're going to pull off all the masks that have the 2 dots on it. And we'll get going with this. Like I said, on the inside, I'm not going to do the Aztecing on the inside of the pylons, because it's pretty much the same technique as on this side. So what I'll do is I'll apply my masks on, and what I'm suggest you do, if you're going to apply all the masks and then paint your center stripe first, I would leave your transfer tape on the masks before you paint. That way when you peel your transfer tape off, your masks are clean and there's no paint on there to stop it from telling which ones are which. And I'll show you that one, and we'll go through and paint that on camera, and I'll go off camera and do the inside pylon later after it's all dry. And as you can tell, as you can see, it gets better and faster as you do this. You kind of start seeing how the patterns are. So that's why I suggest you start with putting dots on your, marking your masks. That way you have you can tell what's what. That's one of the good things I like about these masks, is that it gives you pretty much a main mask and then a replacement mask to go on top of it. Like I said, I'm not worried about these blowout panels. They're going to be painted, so I'm not going to worry about getting too much paint over in these areas. Maybe on this one because it's at the edge, but okay. So I got ready for my, the walls are ready for my blue. I'm going to put my paint in my airbrush. And remember, guys, doing these little areas like this, you do not need to fill your cup up on your airbrush all the way. There's, you'll be wasting it if you do. You only need to, on these areas, you only need to fill it up probably about a quarter of the way through. As you can see right there, there's not a whole lot down in there. Just need enough to cover, the area of the, coverage of the area. So, all right, I'm gonna do my test spray, and we're ready to go. So here we go. And just nice, even movements across your Alright, I'm going to check that to make sure we got some good coverage, and we need a little more here. I'll go over it once more, pretty much this way, just to make sure we're getting alright. Do our dry real quick. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna let that dry for a few minutes, let it set up again. Like, same thing I'm gonna do is go off camera, clean out my airbrush, put the blue replacement masks back on, the gray ones in the blue area, and get set up for the green. So we'll be right back after this, guys. Stay tuned. Okay, guys, here we are. Now, I went on ahead, and for the sake of time, I went on ahead and did the green off camera and put my masking on. The only reason why I put this masking on is because I didn't want to coat this area, these areas, with a clear coat. Because we want these areas to be a flat or a dull coat. So let me zoom you in to show you the results. If it'll zoom here, let me tighten up on this a little more. But you can see just how beautiful that turned out, guys. When you take the time and make sure that things are marked right and everything else. Now, the reason why it's glossy is it's still wet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this set up for a couple hours, let it dry, and then what we'll do is we'll come back and set up and do the inside. And I will walk you through on the procedures on doing the inside of the pylon. So, but like I said, I'm not going to be doing the Aztecing on camera. I'm just going to show you how to do the stripe on the inside. Excuse me. So we're going to let this set up for a couple hours, take a break, and we'll be back shortly with the inside of the pylon, guys. Stay tuned. Long time for me, short time for y'all. Okay guys, welcome back. Now that the outside has dried enough now to where we can flip it over and do the inside pieces now, what we're going to do is we're going to apply the all the masking that goes here, but I'm not going, like I said, I'm not going to do this, the Aztecing part of it on camera, because it'll be kind of redundant. You know, you're seeing pretty much the same thing on the inside as it is the outside, but we're still going to apply our masks the same way. And this time I'm going to tighten up on this shot here to kind of show you what I was talking about. Let me move the camera in and show you what I'm talking about. Let me move the light down just a little bit. Okay. I'm going to tighten up on it as much as I can, but you have this inner line here, and so what we're going to do is when we apply each masking set, or each masking piece, we're going to leave just a little bit of a gap in between the masking and the area of paint. So what we're going to do, and like I said, I'm going to suggest that if you paint these first before you paint your Aztecing on, leave your transfer tape on. That way it protects your masks. That way you don't lose track of what masks or what. They'll stay clean. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and apply this mask on this outside here. On this one side, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that my mask is set down on the transfer tape, and I'm going to take my tweezers and just slowly peel it off. Now, one thing also is you want to make sure that when you do this, you cut your transfer tape and your masks as close, cut it as close to the blue masks as possible. That way you will have a straight line to put it on and align it with. So what I'm going to do is grab a hold of it with my tweezers on one end. We're going to start up in this corner, if I can grab it there. We're going to leave just a little line there to show. Let me get my let me get a little closer here. I'm going to leave just a little bit of a gap in between to show your line. Alright. Like I said, I would suggest leaving your transfer tape, transfer paper on until you get through. That way you don't ruin your masks. So I'm going to tighten this up, push this down real good. Now you're going to have these little ridges right here on these little knots on either side of this line here that are going to cause the masking to stick up a little bit, but these masks are good enough to where they're not shouldn't allow any type of bleed. Alright, so now I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and apply my masking. As you can see, there's just a little bit of a line right there, just enough to where you can see the break in the line. So I'm going to go ahead and place these on. And again, he does give you 2 sets of these center lines that goes down this. That way, when you get through painting this, you'll have a clean set of masks to put down to cover up the colors when you get through painting, and then that way it'll protect it from the painting of the Aztecs. So we're gonna try to line this up the center as much as possible. Now, I will make mention, guys, that these ships, like I've said before, these ships are not exactly all completely square with everything, with these masks and stuff. It's not the masks, it's the ships. And sometimes I have to go back through and reposition some of these masks. Like I said, I'll have to do that when I go back through and paint quite a bit of this, because you can see that they're not completely lined up, which won't be difficult, so it'll just be time consuming. So now we're going to apply the outside up here. I'm just going to run my squeegee over this so I can grab my masks, or the backing. And remember, guys, when you pull the backing off, try not to just rip it off the back, off the backing, because you can have a chance of pulling your masks up with it. Alright, now I'm gonna use my tweezers here to align this. Now, like I said, I'm gonna leave just a little bit of a line here to where these, I'll have a gap in here to where I can paint. So, alright, I'm not gonna take those off. Those are gonna stay on. Now I'm gonna remove the backing, the transfer tape off the center line. And like I said, guys, if this for some reason or another doesn't line up, don't get upset about it. It's only plastic. You can gently, as Gary said in the video, gently remove them and reposition them. That way you don't distort them too bad. Okay, Now I'm going to have to just scoot these over just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is move these over and get them realigned, and we'll come right back and we'll start putting down our first our colors here. So we'll be right back, guys. Okay guys, here we are. Now I've got these realigned, and now you can see the nice rows of the blank areas here in between. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these four maskings off and leave the dark, the little lines in between, and we're going to spray our light gray in between on these areas. And don't worry about the areas in between, simply for the fact that there's going to be dark gray shot in between there, so shouldn't have to worry too much about it. Got one that's grabbing on me here. Alright. And with this Model Masters light gray, you basically have to put 3 coats of it down in order for it to really show up good. Now I'm putting these on another piece of backing here, just in case. And if you don't pull them off too hard, you will be able to save them. Get a piece that I've already Alright, so I've got those down, removed. So what I'm going to do is I've got my light gray loaded up, so I'll do a test shot, and here we go. I'm going to give this nice little coat there. I'm going to give it a quick dry with the hair dryer. Alright, I'm going to turn my pump down just a little bit more. Alright, so now we're going to put our second coat. Give it a good dry. And with the acrylics, you'll be able to see the paint starting to dry real quick once it starts heating up. Now, I wouldn't suggest putting these on, masking right back on after this, right after you get done spraying them on, because you can pull the paint right off because it'll still be soft. So we're going to do our final coat. Alright, so there's that. Gonna run our heat gun back over this. And what I'm going to do is clean up my airbrush and get ready for our second color, which will be the neutral gray, our medium color, right here on this one. So we'll be right back, guys. Okay guys, we're back now. In lieu of time, this video is already going to be long enough as it is. I went on ahead and sprayed our second color, but you can see just how nicely it is there. And I'm going to take this mask and kind of stick it to my shirt just a little bit, just to kind of get some of the tack off, because this is fresh paint, and if it is too hard of a stick on it, or if the stick is still too hard on it, it will pull the paint off. So alright, so now what we do, so we have all those on. Now we get ready for our outline. We'll just pull these off. And once these are pulled off, you won't be able to use them again, because they are going to distort. Pulling these off in between. And now, simply for the fact that we have those little knots in here, you want to make sure that you spray dead straight onto your masks, onto your area. And let me move the camera up. You want to make sure you spray dead straight on, not at an angle or anything, because if you do that, you're going to have that risk of running the paint down in there. Now, if it does happen, you can take some rubbing alcohol on on a Q-tip, and get it off before it's it sets, or you can take a hobby knife and get in there and make sure that it's lightly scrape it just enough. So so here we go. We're going to spray our final color. Give it a test spray, and here we go. This will be our outline, our border color. And don't be afraid. This is going to be. You may need to do this in 2 coats. Alright, hit it again. Alright, that should be it. Now we'll peel these off after I get this dry. And see the results. And when you do peel these masks back off, peel them off very gently. That way you don't risk pulling paint off. Now right there you can see, I don't know if you can see, but it bled just a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll have to go back through here and repaint this. Sometimes that happens, guys. If that happens, don't panic. If you're using water-based paints, that's the fun thing about this, is that it can be fixed really easy. And this is the reason why I do it after I paint all my iridescents on, because I can seal it off and and paint it on. But off camera I'll go off and fix this, and then next time you see me we'll have both pylons done, all of our border colors done, and we'll be moving on to the neck, guys. So I hope this video helped y'all. Sorry it's so long, but sometimes these videos need to be that way. So alright guys, well take care. We'll see you for part 5 on the neck, and go from there, guys. So stay safe out there with this COVID-19. Remember social distancing, and happy modeling out there, guys.